We were expecting the news about these new power plant rules, but the president just talked about the Keystone pipeline. It seems like that's the biggest new information that we have, right?
That's right. What the president said in his comments right here, a new test for the Keystone pipeline. Right now, the State Department, as he mentioned, has to determine whether or not this pipeline is in the nation's interest. And what the president said is that test, in his view, now has to apply one other filter, and that is that it does not produce a net increase in greenhouse gas emissions overall. So far, the environmental reviews, Deirdre, of this project by the State Department have suggested maybe it is a net wash, that these tar sands are going to be developed either way. The question is, does it come by pipeline to the United States, or does it head in another direction to China, perhaps? Does it get moved by rail cars? That's the new test that the president is applying to the State Department. It's not clear at this point that it won't pass that test, but it is a new wrinkle in this entire debate, and one, again, environmental groups are going to be pleased that he's talked about it here, that he hasn't approved it already, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to approve it, or this administration is not going to approve it at the end of the day.
Okay, and Peter, as far as the new rules go for the power plants, so what stood out to you?
Well, this is an action that his environmental support has been calling on this president to do for a long time, and it's an action that the industry is going to continue to fight. What his basic rule here is he's pushing the EPA to do what has already been in the works, and that is to impose carbon emission limits on new power plants in the United States. He's going to say in this new proposal that the deadline here is going to be September of this year for that final rule for new power plants. And more importantly, Deirdre, he's going to say that existing power plants are going to have to meet emission limits for carbon as well, beginning by June, a proposal by June of 2014. This is significant. 6,500 coal plants in this country right now. A lot of them would not be able to meet, we assume, these emission limits. Many of them would have to shut down, and that's why you're going to see serious pushback, not only from the energy industry, from coal-producing utilities, utilities that use coal for its electricity production, but also from coal state lawmakers, Republicans, and sure, some Democrats as well, who say this is going too far. Again, we don't know exactly what the limits will be. Could there be any off-ramps for these power plants? But this is the real news, the real hardship, if you will, for some in the energy industry. What happens to those coal-fired power plants? But this day has been coming for a long time now. The president has basically set the wheels in motion for June of 2014 on getting those rules put in place. But we're still talking about changes that would be in place, would have to play out over time, several years.
Okay, and Peter, I mean, how much support does he need? How much can the president do by himself, and how much legislative support does he need?
Well, he's going around Congress and doing that. That's going to be one of the criticisms. His EPA can impose these rules, but they will be challenged in court, Deirdre. They will be challenged at every step of the way. That's one reason this is going to be a lengthy process.